When you stop seeking emotional validation from men and from other people, you will actually start to realize how powerful you are when you can give yourself that love. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to keep looking outside for emotional validation that's never going to come to you. And I want you today to be healed. So before we get into today's video, my name is Tyson, and this is Owning Purpose, helping you to discover your gift and own your purpose in life. On this channel, we talk about personal growth, breaking limiting beliefs, spirituality, relationships, and attachments. I'm always adding topics to what we talk about on this channel, but those are the main pillars. So in today's video, I want to talk about how to stop seeking validation from men and from people who are especially emotionally unavailable or lack emotional intelligence. And the reason why this is important is just a semi-story. My dad is not someone who is emotionally available. Financially, he's great. He's always been in my life. I talked about this story a little bit deeper in my inner child healing playlist, so I'll link it up in the cards or I'll link it down below in the description. But I talked about this story because I wanted my dad to emotionally understand me a lot when I was in high school. From whether it was my sexuality, whether it was just from my spiritual beliefs, whether it was just from my success on social media, I wanted certain validations for him to recognize, and he did not recognize those things. And so what do you do when, you know, your father or even when a man doesn't emotionally understand you? Maybe you are a person who need to have words of affirmations or words of validation, or you need to have physical touch, or just you know, being told nice things, being complimented, and you feel like, you know, your boyfriend or you feel like your husband or you feel like that guy you're dating is not doing those things and not filling your emotional needs. Now here's the thing. You have to learn how to fill your own emotional void. So in my example, and you're probably like, how do you do that, right? So in my example, with my dad, I had to learn to start giving myself the things that I needed for me. So I started congratulating myself. I started asking the universe to send other people who would congratulate me on the things that I knew I wasn't going to get from my dad. Okay? Because what happened was, when I started seeking this validation from my dad, and I wanted this emotional validation, I ended up being very unhappy because I expected him to do things that he was never going to do. So I wasted years from like 15 to like what? February of 2021, wasting my time wanting him to do all these things, wanting him to call and say, oh, I found your YouTube and I did it. And that stuff was just never going to happen. Right? So I had to give myself that love. And my dad is an emotional kind of like, not emotional robot, a non-emotional person. Okay? So he lacks emotional intelligence in some areas, at least how I view it. So I had to learn to give myself that love. So if you are in a relationship right now and you're looking for this guy to give you something, you cannot expect him to do everything. I told somebody this that I was dating one time, where I said, you cannot expect me to give you every single part emotionally that you're looking for. Each person in your life fills a different emotional void. Your dad may feel a void of emotion as far as he takes care of you, right? And he cares for you. He wants you to, you know, financially be together. You have your mom, who is more emotional. She wants to make sure you're okay. You have your partner, who is more so of dating and romantic and physical touch of emotional connection. You understand? Your friends may be more so of, laughter and a good time. So every person fills up a different void. And you may feel more comfortable with your friends as well, expressing certain emotions that you don't want to express to your parents. So you have to kind of know, what is your own emotional void that you're lacking in, right? So for me, like I said, with my father, I was looking more so for, I want to have that emotional bond, but if he doesn't have it with himself, how is he going to have it with me? So it's the same thing with your boyfriend and whoever else you're dealing with, okay? When we recognize that people are not emotionally intelligent as us, or they're not in tune with their emotions as I am, I'm much more in tune with my emotions than my father. And I'm much more aware and I'm much more expressive. So you have to realize that when you're dealing with people who are not as in tune, you have to ask yourself, what can I expect from them? And also, what can I give to myself? Because if you know that you can't expect emotional validation or emotional intelligence from this person, then you have to learn how to give it to yourself. You have to start doing things. I always recommend journaling, and just to break it down a little bit of what I mean by journaling is asking yourself questions and responding to those questions. So you could write a question like, why do I always look for emotional validation in my friends? This could come from the fact that I didn't have an emotional connection from my mom, or I wanted an emotional connection from my mom, but she always said I was dramatic, or I was, too much of a sissy boy, or I was acting too emotional. You understand? These are questions you can ask yourself so you can find the pinpoints of why do I look for these validations in other people? A lot of people jump from relationship to relationship. And it's because they're seeking some type of emotional void. Same thing with sex. A lot of people go out and have sex a lot because they're filling an emotional void, and it comes from childhood. So that's why I suggest that you guys go watch my Inner Child Healing playlist, because if you suffer from looking for emotional validation from other people or men in your life, it's because there is a child part of you that when in your childhood you didn't get what you should have gotten emotionally, so now you go and you seek it in men, or you seek it in people. What I mean by this, by people, I'm saying friends, co-workers, bosses, whatever, because you did not get that emotional love as a child. So how do we break this concept of always wanting emotional validation from a man, right, or from other people? I would say this is probably the most thing that 95% of people won't do, but I want you to ask yourself what happened to me as a child that caused me in my adulthood to realize that my emotional validation is at a high peak. So what happened to you? Is it because you realized that emotionally your father wasn't really there necessarily emotionally? He wasn't available. And so now you will go into a relationship, and I've done this before, I've definitely felt it. I've dated people in the past where I was looking for them to create an experience for me, specifically when I was in college. I just graduated like 2 weeks ago. But I was looking for validation emotionally because I did not get it from the person that I wanted to get it from. So when I was in these relationships, subconsciously, I was looking for this guy to do something. And in reality, it's like, no. And so when he didn't do those things that I wanted him to do, or if he didn't acknowledge certain things, then I would get upset, right? Or then I would just cut him out. And so when I sat down with my inner child, I said, okay, what the problem is, and when I say inner child, I mean just reflecting back on my childhood. When I look back at that, I said, okay, I looked for emotional validation, not just from my dad, but from the Christian school that I was in for 4 years. And all those people where I felt like I couldn't be myself, and so I changed myself a lot of times so that I can fit the agenda of the school, of my friends, of other people. And so that's another way of seeking emotional validation. If you're a person who tries to fit in with other people, you try to change your wardrobe, you try to code switch, which is basically changing your language. You're talking, one way, you're talking hood one way, and then you're talking Caucasian proper the next way. That's just the easiest example to give, right? Or you start using a specific slang that you normally don't use if you're talking to your parents, right? But you try to fit in that mold. And so the point of today's video is I want you to figure out, why do you seek emotional validation? And if you're wondering, why are you attracting these people that are emotionally unavailable or emotionally lack intelligence? It's because you are not healing a specific wound within yourself. And this is a message to me. This is a word. This is a sermon to myself. Because when we learn that we are seeking validation for the wrong purpose, And we're seeking validation because there's a wound that's left from when we were kids or sometime when we were, in our young years, child years. We can then begin to cultivate, why do we act the way that we act? Why do we feel sometimes lonely? I kind of felt this last night. I didn't feel lonely, but I did feel like, I've been single for 4.5 years, and I'm like, dang, I want me a little boo, right? But the emotional part of that is, yes, I know that I'm deserving of it, and I know that I can be patient, but it's also like, hey, I kind of really want someone. But the emotional side of that is, or the egotistical side of that is, I don't really desperately need somebody, right? Sometimes our emotions can drive our body, can drive our mind, can drive the way that we take action in certain ways. And we really have to slow down and ask ourselves, is this really who we are? If you're getting value out of this, if you're still here, smash the like button and comment down below. Are you dealing with emotional validation? Are you seeking emotional validation? And if so, who have you sought emotional validation from right now in your life? Or maybe throughout your whole life? Comment that down below. Who have you been seeking emotional validation from? Answer that question for me. I really would love to know. So I believe that when we start to do this, and from experience within my own self, when we stop seeking this emotional validation from other people, and we start to realize that the healing actually starts within ourselves, we will become so much more happier. Excuse me, I had to burp. We become so much more happier. We become so much more healed. And we become, most importantly, so much more aware of what we're attracting into our life. Because you see, the universe always gives us a reflection of what we believe we deserve. So if you believe that you deserve men who are not emotionally available because your dad is not emotionally available, and you may not say that out loud, but subconsciously, you have been probably thinking or training your mind to think that men are not available, and that's not true. There's wonderful men in this world. There are wonderful people in this world. I have experienced both. Amazing experiences. But throughout those experiences, I did not realize what my emotional validation was and why I was seeking it so hard. So the minute that you can train yourself, and it takes years, because it took me years, you can start to understand that you don't need all of that stuff anymore. So if you enjoyed today's video, I want you to make sure you smash the like button, comment down below, make sure you subscribe to the channel, I don't know what that was, and hit the notification bell so you're notified multiple times a week when I drop a video. And again, my name is Tyson. If you are interested in following me on TikTok, which most of you guys have come from TikTok over here, welcome to the Owning Purpose family. But if you're interested in TikTok and you've never been to my TikTok, go down below in the description box. It's Tyson Michael with an underscore, I think. If not underscore, I think it's just Tyson Michael. But I'll put the link down below in the description box. Make sure you check out some playlists. I have a relationship and manifest playlist, inner child healing playlist, and I'll probably drop some videos from both of those or the relationship playlist. I'm not sure yet. But I hope that you've learned something in this video, because my channel is really to help you to transform your life. I take a lot of my experiences. I do a ton of journaling, a ton of reflection, just so that I can speak to you all and my angels and guides speak through me to deliver this message to you. So I pray that whoever needs this video will stay till the end of this video, because this is such a big part of attracting people into our lives. It's such a big part of our relationships, and it's such a big part of knowing who we are and being confident in ourselves. So this video is almost 15 minutes. So if you stayed around for this long, you are such a blessing. So thank you so much. I appreciate each and every 2,000 of you. I'm so happy and grateful that the universe has blessed me with this. And I believe that the universe is going to bless me with hundreds and thousands of more people. But I'm so grateful now for every person who has been on here. So thank you so much for the ones that have been here from the very beginning, 2019, to even right now. So with that being said, have a beautiful and wonderful day. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this. Probably Wednesday. August 11th probably. But anyway, blessings to you all. Thank you so much for following. And again, comment down your thoughts, any topics that you want to know or hear about next? I know that some of you guys drop ideas, so please comment down below. I really would love to hear your insight. And have a wonderful and beautiful day. And remember, that emotional validation, it starts within yourself. Give yourself that love. Don't look for other people. It's never, ever going to help you. Trust me, okay? See you guys. Peace.